Hi, this video has been prompted really by a video that I watched on one of my favourite channels, Calico Silver. His channel I've been watching for quite a number of years, and we've exchanged comments, my comments on his videos, his on mine, and although we had a minor little tiff, I think we would say we were friends. He decided to do a video about why a video channel on YouTube for him, and he basically described the surprise at the impact that he had on a sort of hobby really, and it inspires me to consider a little bit about where I've gone to, my journey. Well, so to try and give you some sort of perspective, I'm going to do a little bit of a history. In 2017, I was 63 years of age. I ran my own business here in Thailand, teaching youngsters to learn English, and I was looking toward possibly continuing that online. The actual rigours of classroom teaching were starting to show at my age, and I wanted something a little bit easier, and online teaching seemed to be a way. So what I did was I initially sort of started to join English language groups on Facebook, particularly sort of grammar groups, and other sort of groups that existed on that social media platform, to encourage learners to sort of share their interests. And so I started putting together some videos. They were pretty crude, but my knowledge of grammar, pronunciation, speaking and listening skills, I thought was pretty well developed, and so I started loading up videos on there, and I got a reasonable response. The idea was to sort of develop an audience possibly, and then to perhaps move on to online teaching, so I thought. So alongside that, in 2017, as retiring from classroom teaching became a closer sort of thought, I decided, well, let's start a YouTube channel as well, and so I basically got the channel going, but I decided that I wasn't going to just do English language. I was going to do a cross section of all the things that I enjoyed doing. Teaching English was one, but alongside that was my love for the Premier League, football in the UK, my love of music, and my love of movies, plus the odd sort of interest in political issues, and I also decided to do a sort of a series of videos as a sort of record of my life. I guess mortality was down the road, and I thought, well, maybe I can do a sort of, I was influenced a little bit by this guy on YouTube who basically chronicled his life on a daily basis. Gary, anyway, I can't remember his other name, but I watched his videos and I was inspired by him. So off we went with the channel, and it was, as I say, started in 2017, and I covered videos with all those sort of niches: football, including Premier League and Champions League, also movies, focusing mainly on reviews, and Music, here again I decided to look at reviews, but also ranking videos, and the learning English, of course, component basically looked at all the aspects of English learning that one needs to acquire, and I was putting out similar videos to the ones I had put out in Facebook, and I did a handful of my life videos going back to my first memory at 4 years of age. And so anyway, this particular channel didn't really take off a great deal, but I did get a number of subs, and I, all in all, managed to do, would you believe it, 650 videos I'm now at. This channel still continues, but I also managed to accumulate 121,000 views, but you know, let's be honest, it's 6 years, sorry, 121,000 views was the most popular video that I put up, not the total. So anyway, as I say, the videos that I did then were a cross section, and then come 2019 I was now almost retired. In fact, I think I'd just retired. So I decided, well, rather than sort of do just one channel with all these different genres, and that was maybe affecting my audience, because not everyone loves movies and music, and not everyone learning English wants to watch videos about the Premier League. So I decided basically that I was going to do a more specialised niche, and in 2019 I started my music channel, and called John's Music Passions. And then what followed was a specialised channel for learning English, and started in 2020 alongside that was my John's Review of Movies. So I ended up with 4 channels, okay, and it has to be said that to this present date I've published a total of 1,235 videos on all 4 channels, and have accumulated 966 subs on all 4 channels. Those statistics are really more to do with me being aware of them than perhaps trying to indicate to you anything about them, because the time needed to acquire them has been a great length. So going back to my intro, why did I start? Well, if we look firstly at learning English, well, why did I start that? Well, I wanted to offer free content to the learners, that's for sure. I had a sort of half-hearted sort of view that possibly I might earn some money and it might help me teach online. That never materialised, but I still enjoyed it, and that was the main reason why I did it. And I did get feedback, but of course people love free content, don't they? So that's about as far as it went. Why did I start the movie channel? Well, I had a huge collection of movies to choose from, and I wanted to sort of get some record really of them, and our memories fade as time goes by, and that's why if you basically decided to try and recall a video on a movie that you watched 20 years ago, unless it was your all-time favourite or one of your top ones, you'd struggle. So I thought, right, let's do some reviews, and that would give me an opportunity to focus in depth on them, write a review which will become a record, and viewers would have the opportunity of getting a glimpse of the content of a video. Maybe they've never seen that movie and it may influence their desire to watch it, and for those that have actually seen it, it would invite them mostly to comment on how they viewed it. They may well have viewed it as a great movie like me, or their view might have been completely opposite. So, you know, although I was sort of generally doing movies that I liked, so they were of a positive nature, I wasn't of the opinion that my opinion was the only opinion. And of course I did try and do classics going back into the 50s. I was born in 1954, and I used that as a sort of a point where I would focus on movies in my lifetime. And there's certainly a lot of movies that I've reviewed in the 50s and the 60s, far more than any other decade. Although new movies, of course, I was watching them and reviewing them. So I really did appreciate the creativity of directors, cinematographers, actors and actresses from all around the world. I was comfortable with English-speaking movies alongside subtitled movies. You know, some of my favourite movies are subtitled movies. Not everybody's cup of tea, but I was going to cover them. I wanted a brush of variety, basically. And of course, when it came to music, again, I'd accumulated a huge collection of well, vinyls, some of which I brought from the UK, 200 vinyls, CDs that I bought here in Thailand and had bought in the UK, a lot of cassettes, most of which I bought in Thailand, and then of course digital media, where I started to become obsessive about downloading MP3 music files, and so the quantity available was huge. And then I decided, well, I'm going to review them. Not all of them, because it would take me 100 years, but I was going to review them, and I was going to rank them as well, so that people would have an opportunity to see what ones I thought were the best in a year. And I've done a number of videos on favourite albums for each year, again going right back to 1967 to the present day. And I once again wanted to highlight really the creativity of some of these musicians and bands, and how in many ways many of them quite popular, but a lot of them not that popular. And again, I wanted to use my knowledge to expose their abilities to a wider audience. And I dipped in quite heavily to world music, and looked at African music and music from South and Central America, because I enjoyed this music, and I sensed that my audience probably didn't know much about these artists. And I will say at this point, when I got onto these individual channels, one short video that I did on my music channel, an appreciation of an album by Youssou N'Dour, who's a Senegalese musician of high esteem in Senegal and the African continent, and I got an amazing 104,000 views to the present day on this very short highlights video of that album. So that gives you some idea of why I was doing the music. And of course I love listening to the music, so you know, it became a hobby really. The other benefit of doing the channel I'll get onto briefly. Well, as I was approaching retirement, I was very conscious of the fact that replacing my work, which had been an extremely enjoyable activity, and I'd done a lot of work to get to a standard that I felt was worth offering, and the proof was in the pudding. I'd actually had my own school here in Thailand for the best part of 20 years, and people had continued to come. I hadn't made a huge amount of money, but I'd had enough to maintain a reasonable lifestyle here. And so basically I decided that I needed, as I went into retirement, I needed additional skills, and I wanted to learn. I'm a learner, I've always been a learner. So making videos, of course, you know, it's not that easy. For a start, you put yourself in front of the camera. Initially I didn't, I actually just used audio, but later I was told by a few people on my music channel that it would be a lot better if they saw my face. So, you know, I had experience of talking in front of an audience as a teacher and previously in my work in the UK, and so it wasn't that difficult to move in front of a camera where you know no one's watching. Oh, they watch you when it's finished, but when you're actually doing it, you're playing solo. So I then decided to acquire the skills of making videos using the webcams and then editing the videos. So I add in images to both music, movies and learning English videos. They all had sort of images to enhance the video, and I also added sort of lyrics and track lists to music videos and pictures of the artists and the bands and possibly them in concert. So I really tried to sort of make it a pictorial piece of content. And again, the offering of rankings of albums and songs and movies by year to viewers, I felt was motivated by what did I think about motivated? By comparing, that's right, comparing my choices with the viewers' choices, so they could do that and then they could make necessary comments on the videos if my thoughts married up with their thoughts, and equally they could point out ones that I may have overlooked. And so again, there was a shared learning of this, and I've been very keen to do this rather than become very self-indulgent and just create videos selfishly. You know, I've always wanted to involve them. My comment and viewer count would suggest otherwise, but I've had a genuine desire for that. Now, of course, delivering music over a period of 55 years is a daunting task. So for those that actually watch some of my videos, they'll know that there are certain times in my life where I'm more focused on the videos. I've mentioned movies, 50s and 60s, classics I like doing, and new ones. For music, the 70s have certainly been my most popular, because that was when I was watching most of my listening to most of my music, and a lot of the albums in that decade are still huge favourites. But I also wanted to cover new releases. I didn't really want to just throw out the obvious, oh yeah, that Beatles album was great, wasn't it? I wanted to challenge my audience by offering new releases from new artists. And I did a wad of videos a couple of years ago when COVID was around, and I really got into new releases, because the quality of new releases when COVID was around actually was, I think, better than your normal. So that deals with the content, and I covered a lot of genres as well. I wasn't just doing sort of the MOR that attracts most people, and in fact some of the new acts I didn't look at because those genres I didn't really like. I tended to cover those that I liked for both movies and music. So let's say, the hugely popular movies that won Oscars, you wouldn't find me reviewing those on a regular basis, although I have done some. And so I enjoyed telling the story of the movie. Perhaps they were a little bit too heavy on plot, but again, the reason behind this was that memory, of course. It's a beautiful opportunity to actually get a memory of a movie, and so further down the lane, if I'm still alive, I'll be able to recall them by watching them rather than relying on my own brain to recall. And who knows, I may be developing severe memory loss problems in the future. So as I say, the hobby encouraged active creativity rather than just passive viewing and listening. And I'm really determined to keep my muscle, my brain muscle, busy, because I think that's the key to mental health in old age. So that's about it, and this has gone on far too long, but I'd be interested any comments that you might have on this video, if at all anybody watches it.